Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video of my team career mode here with the 7 even 95 racing team in our final season in F1 22. After that we move on to the new game. I just saw the video of Lando Norris playing F1 23 and it looks awesome. Of course, I don't get to play it myself because I'm not a big enough content creator just yet. But that's maybe for next year. But now let's move on into the 29th of September on a Thursday to get ourselves on our way to Singapore. But first we have to do a marketing department. Once again we can only choose between Russell and Verstappen. So we choose Verstappen and we move on with our day. Because it's not worth that it's constantly the same. It's just not worth it anymore to actually do something about it. It's constantly the same two people and I hate it. But maybe in the next game that will be fixed. As we are now finally on the day that we need to go to Singapore. Let's get into this. I'm excited. Alright, so as you can see, coming out of the pits, it looks like we are out a bit earlier than usual because we are still in P1 and we are not down in P22 already. Warning already, doing a 360 because why not? Looks like that went quite well as Stroll is now in his flying lap, but we didn't interrupt him at all with our spin, of course. It was all meant to be as we are now starting our first flying lap in P13. Can we move up a few places? Hopefully. Our first lap won't be the best. As you can see, we missed the apex by a mile. And that's absolutely horrendous. Let's just hope that the rest of the lap is better. And maybe we need to do a second lap right after this because I don't think this is good enough. You can see as we come through the second corner, we are half a second up on Guan Yu Zhou, who's currently in P15. And I have a feeling that I will be around P15, 14, something like that. P16, oh boy. Yeah, we definitely need another run. Let's do it right after this one. And you can see, just by taking the apex, or a bit closer than the apex, we already gained 3 tenths through these few corners. Gaining 4 tenths, maybe even half a second, up to a second at the end of the lap. Will this be enough to get ourselves through to the next part of qualifying? We'll find out as we cross the finish line. 1.3 seconds, it's P11. I think that's enough, isn't it? Yes, it is. We drop down to P12. Color signs is in P8. That's not the best, but you know it's only Q1. We don't have to worry about it too much. We still have a lot of laps to do in this track to get ourselves to the front of the grid, of course. Hopefully we can manage to get through to Q3 as we take a new line designed by myself to start a flying lap with a few extra kilometers per hour. Actually, I don't know if it's fast or not, but it's allowed, so I'll just take it as we are in our first lap in Q2 here. You can see the track is a lot quieter. That's very, very nice if you want to be driving on your own in a lap like this. You can see currently P8, Verstappen takes P1 as we invalidate our time. So that means that we have to go again at the end of the session. Gaining already a 10th only on the start-finish straight. Going into the first few corners. Almost hit track limits there. But don't worry, we're still going. It looks like we are in P13 still. The Antictum and Lando Norris ahead of myself. Not in the top 10. By the way, my teammate is once again the only driver who is in the pits, not finishing the final lap. He just thinks that he's fast enough. He is actually fast enough. But we have a few more seconds until the flag has fallen. It has now fallen. And we can still do another lap. We are up by 2 tenths. We are up by a second. Oh, damn. Can we actually make it through? Because we dropped down to P12 once again. And that's not something that we need if we want to start at the front, you know. Because the top 10 goes through, not the top 12 on the top 14. It's the top 10. Alonso is the final guy who will get through. But that depends. Do we go faster? 1.3 seconds is the delta. But unfortunately, the delta light and we are out in Q2. It's actually P12 that we will start. Hopefully a few drivers with a few penalties. That would mean that we start a bit further up ahead. And you can see, as I said, you don't have to worry about Carlos Sainz. He's back into P1. Only half a tenth ahead of Verstappen and 1.5 tenths ahead of Russell. But we needed 4 more tenths to get through to qualifying 3. That didn't happen. So let's move on into the race.
we go then, it's Formula One in Marina Bay once again. And welcome to you all at home who join us today for this fascinating race around the baking hot but beautiful streets of Singapore. It's a 3.1 mile lap here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit with 47% taken at full throttle. It's hot, humid and bumpy around the 13 lefts and 10 rights of mostly slow corners. But we should see speeds of up to 200 miles per hour along the Raffles Boulevard. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Russell, Daniel Ricciardo and Ticktum, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Perez and Esteban Ocon, Liam Lawson, Lightning, Lando Norris and Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll, Latifi, Joe, Mick Schumacher and Robert Schwartzman. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Let's start then. As you can see, starting formation lap: Sainz, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Albon and Latifi are the 5 guys who are starting on the softs. Myself is myself is not starting. I am starting on the hards, and all the other drivers are starting on the mediums. We are going to try and make this a long run, so hopefully overcut a few drivers, because I have a feeling that it's going to be wet at the end of this race, because I saw it in my graph. So as you can see, it's a 1-stop or a 2-stop. I think my teammate is going to be doing a 2-stop, maybe even a 3-stop if the rain comes at the end. We still don't know yet, that's the problem. If you're on a perfect strategy with your weather, then you know if it's going to rain. If you're on approximate, well, then you don't know. And I have it on approximate for more realism. It's a small part, but it makes it just a bit more fun, as the Haas were doing something weird there. But don't worry about that. We go on to the real race. No longer formation lap. We are going to do a real race of 31 laps here. Behind the 2 Alpines, it's lights out and away we go from the start finish, going underneath the board, and we are losing 2 positions already. Norris and Magnussen. Oh boy, locking up, and we go 3 wide into turn 1 together with Albon and Norris. Can we go down the inside of Norris? Yes, we can. Still side by side as Norris. I just noticed this now, not even during anything or during recording, but I just noticed now that Lando Norris had a bit of wing damage. So we probably won't see him, as we are going to overtake Yuki Tsunoda in the Mercedes, of course. Honda actually wants him in the Aston Martin in 2026, so maybe that will happen. As the 2 Alpines are fighting with each other, hopefully we can keep up with them. No, we cannot. We have 2 people on the softs behind me, and we have 2 people in front of me on the mediums, and I am on the hards, so that definitely gives me a disadvantage. But hopefully, if we can keep within the pit window of the guys in front, we can still try to overtake them later on. All depends on if we can actually stay within the pit window. I hope to stay within the pit window of the top 3. Of course, my teammate will do a 2-stop, so we won't have to worry about him. Hopefully, our plan will work. That's the thing what we are waiting for, as there's a yellow flag, and it looks like that's an AlphaTauri. That's Oscar Piastri out, and oh no, that's it. It's a virtual safety car now. So never mind, Albon is out as well. So we lose 2 drivers, left with 20. As the safety car, virtual safety car actually, sorry. should be ending now. Yes, it is. You can see, if you take a look at the minimap, Albon's car is still on track. Let me repeat that. Albon's car is still on track. The virtual safety car has been ended. Well, we're now moving on into lap 10, lap 11 even. And you can see the gap behind us is 8 seconds with Stroll and P11. And it's Lawson and Ocon, both the Alpines, still ahead of me. And that group is just getting away. My teammate already pitted and is now crossing the start finish line. So it's really weird to see that my team decided to go for a 2-stop on a track where it's difficult to overtake for the AI. Probably because we hired some Ferrari strategists.
We think we might see some rain, ETA about 15 minutes.
Okay, so we will see some rain coming soon. And that's the confirmation for me that I need to stay out on these hards, as everybody is now pitting from mediums to hard. So that will help us. Only Charles Leclerc is ahead of us and we won't overtake him. Maybe he needs to make another stop. I don't think so. He's on the hards. But if he does, we can overtake him, as we now have the second group of cars going into the pits for that pit stop. You can see Verstappen comes out ahead of us, but are we going to get ahead of him? No, maybe going around the outside. Bit of a weird line. Didn't get the full exit that I wanted out of this corner. So yeah, for now it's still P4. But I think that the Red Bull ahead, Sergio Perez, still needs to make a pit stop. So that's something that we can use to get ourselves onto the podium actually, because we have no danger from behind at the moment. Still 5 seconds to Russell behind, and Alonso even 6 seconds. So as long as we keep up the pace just a tiny bit, then we can definitely try to stay on the podium. Of course, at the moment it's only 3 seconds behind. But you know, it's a difficult track to overtake. It's a good track for me to defend that. So it shouldn't be too difficult. As we see lap 18, George Russell is close behind us. We go into the slowest corner here and we feel a tap from behind. And that's actually George Russell who took me out. Luckily, it was only for dinner and he didn't take me out of the race. He has a bit of wing damage. He can go into the pits now. But we will get that position back as Fernando Alonso is really close behind us. You can see now just 2 more corners and then George Russell dives into the pits. And then we take our 3rd position, our podium back. So this is a good recovery actually, because our teammate is all the way down out of the points. But finally we can gain a few points on him, of course. Never mind. Why? Oh, 360, because why not? 1 in the race, and oh boy. I just took out Daniel Ricciardo and we are now left with 18 drivers. Whoopsie.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I feel consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners.
Wait. This doesn't look right. We took him out. He goes into the pits on dry tires. He still has to make another pit stop if it went wet. I don't think so because it's still dry here. How did he win the race? Can somebody tell me that? How did George Russell win the Singapore Grand Prix? Of course, my teammate is nowhere to be found, so he'll probably be in P5, P6, hopefully, for a few points of for the team. Let's take a look at the results then. Oh, it's P10. I can definitely tell you that we hired a Ferrari strategist for this race. We will fire him after this race. So next race we should be fine with our strategy once again. So yeah, only 1 point for the team today. Not the best, but you know, it doesn't matter too much. We are still more than 100 points ahead of the second team. So I don't worry about that too much. And myself, I know I'm not going for the championship anymore. My teammate has it. So yeah, if you want to see the Japanese Grand Prix coming up next, then you have to subscribe, of course. If you want to like the video, you're also available to do that. Please buy some merch if you want to. It's available. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.